Yo, what up everyone? Today I got a requested guide for you guys. People were asking me how to push compounds as a solo shotgun player once the banishment has happened, once other people are doing the boss. I will try to cover as many scenarios as possible, but sadly there isn't a golden rule since it always highly depends on how your enemies play. As a general rule of thumb, your goal is to get as close to your enemies or the lair as possible to use your shotgun, which quite often involves taking a lot of risk. Before we jump into the in-game commentary, I wanna be honest though, as a solo shotgun player you need great map knowledge, good pistol or secondary aim, and instead of worrying how to siege boss layers, you should much rather focus a lot on being fast over being stealthy. You want to make sure you arrive at the lair before your enemy picks up the bounty and immediately know that you are solo. As in, you should kinda aim to always find the boss lair within the first 5 minutes of the match. It's not as hard as it sounds, and it will highly increase your odds of being the first one at the lair, or at least be able to third party the boss fight with your shotgun. If you combine that with a sticky bomb, it will easily set you up for a compound defense on your terms. I also have a guide on how to play shotguns as a solo player in general, in which I will go more in depth on loadouts and strategies. But enough with the talking, let's talk about how to attack a lair once the banishment has happened. I have two general approaches, which I will show you in the next two clips. Okay, before we jump into some actual gameplay commentary, I'm gonna show you guys a little tactical approach here. I give you a tactical explanation what I'm doing here. I call this approach the sector approach, obviously just made that name up, but basically we are approaching from Sister State. I'm trying to make my way through the swamp by breaking tons of line of sight and make my way into this double staircase setup. And then I'm securing that area for myself. Once I've claimed that area for myself, I'm moving on from there. I'm either going to the north side of the compound, like you see here, go up the pathway to the little side door, or I'm gonna make my way around and go up one of the metal stairs. The goal here is to get into shotgun range. If my enemy team is playing from that side of the compound, I'm gonna go the other way, go up those little mounts here, go by the sniper tower, and approach from one of those tiny side entrances. The goal here is basically to move to the next sector, like you will see here. Depending on what side I'm approaching on, I'm trying to claim one side of the prison for myself, to then fight the boss lair team from that position on. The whole point of that is basically that if I ever get interrupted, especially when multiple teams are around, I have an area to play from, I have an area to defend, I have an area from where I can isolate 1v1s without being exposed out in the open, if that makes sense. In this match, I will be approaching the Pelican prison, in which the assassin will be banished in just a few seconds. There will be multiple teams approaching the compound at the same time as I do, so in those scenarios, I like to claim certain sectors of the compound for myself if possible, and then work my way all the way towards the boss lair. As a side note here, in those scenarios you have to heavily rely on your pistol to make your way into those desirable sectors. So work on your pistol aim, it's your bread and butter. You cannot be a good shotgun player without having good pistol aim. I know it's kinda a dumb explanation, but it's an FPS game after all. Like you saw here, another team was approaching at the same time I did from the same direction. I get a pick on the cane here. Now that I have revealed my position, I am highly mobile, jumping around since people know where I am, and I'm just trying to figure out where his teammates are. Now I'm getting peeked by the headsman there, take his head off as well. See that there's another tier 2 hunter around the corner, try to push her and finish off the first team. Obviously, I hit some nice shots here, but like I said, that is something you have to work on constantly if you want to play solo successfully. I sadly couldn't kill her, but now I have this area here, this set of stairs, which is fairly easy to protect with a shotgun since there are only 3 ways in, the bottom entrance and the 2 staircases at the top. So I'm just gonna heal up here, and continue fighting with their team. Now that I know that the female hunter is not really pushing me, I'm gonna check out what else is going on here since the banishment has happened. I know this team did not banish the boss. See that there's a death trap on the floor, which is, you know, good to know. I jump back down, check out where the female hunter is. That was just down here. I see her back there trying to run away. Take her out as well with a nice uppercut headshot. By the way, you do not have to play uppercut as a shotgun player. Uppercut is just my favorite pistol, but any secondary works. I wasn't sure on what team the headsman was, to be completely honest, so I just choose to burn him here, since I got shot by a silencer as well, and that guy was not the silencer. I spot another team by the sniper tower, on the port side, so I'm assuming that might be the teammate. I disarm the trap here just in case. I now know that I've taken out one team, there's one team in the lair, which shouldn't have an angle on me since I'm not getting shot, and there's a sniper tower team. Now that I've claimed this sector here, I'm concentrating on, you know, maybe getting a pick here and eventually moving on, getting closer to the compound. We are a shotgun player. I don't want to take range fights unless I have to. So I'm moving on here and try to get into shotgun range. Considering nobody is shooting from the big tower, the big metal staircase in the prison at the sniper tower team, I'm assuming this side of the compound is fairly empty. So I'm rotating around the little like walkway here, make my way to the sniper tower and try to like ease my way into the compound from there. You know, like I said earlier, even though I have like fairly good uppercut aim, that is not the loadout I'm playing. I'm a shotgun player. I want to get in there. At the same time, I don't know how many people are around. So, you know, always approach with care. You know, play risky, but, you know, be smart about it. Now that I'm approaching the sniper tower, I'm gonna check for the most common angles. It's usually a good idea to do. Before like committing to a risky push, just check the most common angles that people like to defend the compound from. Nobody was up there on that walkway, so I know nobody is like checking out the courtyard. Now I've seen that the boss lair team has picked up the bounty. I'm approaching from like a side angle that has a lot of cover from the trees. So I can immediately just push up, get to the wall and am in shotgun range. Now I hear that they're like on the metal staircases, at least 2 of them. So I know that if I push that door here on the side, worst case scenario, I'm fighting one person, which is kind of what I'm looking for anyways, you know? Looking for 1v1 engagements. Peeking under the door here, compound knowledge by the way, and then making my way in here. Now my next goal is to secure that sector here for myself. I know that I'm potentially fighting a trio here. I brought traps, I love bringing those death traps. You don't have to, but in my opinion they are very helpful for this kind of playstyle. Like I'm just like blocking off those 2 doors here and claiming this side of the layer of the boss compound for myself. Even if people don't die to those traps, they will have to disarm them or jump over them. So I get like a noise notification in case somebody is trying to push me. Oh. Now that I have secured this area for myself and have set up my traps, I'm concentrating on continuing the fight. Without those traps, just close the doors basically and it's basically your area. I'm trying to take like an aim do here at the top row, just seeing if somebody, you know, is over there. Sadly there isn't, but I do hear people inside the lair. So I do throw my sticky bomb just to make them panic and maybe, you know, make them push through my traps. Because I want to run away from the potential dynamite. They throw a B-bomb at me, which is fine. I'm able to avoid it here. I'm just going through that little like closed off area. Finish the bees real quick. Or like avoiding them. They push through my trap. I sadly do not get the kill on them here, since there is a metal stair that blocks the shot. But like you saw here, those traps like basically made me able to defend my sector. I got like a nice slug kill here. Was probably like max range. Maybe he was still damaged from the trap. Now here's someone to my left. They peek. I take them out as well. Now I don't know if there's a third or not. But I know there's still a sniper team which I hear running up here. So I'm waiting for them. Sadly, they do not commit to the push. I'm gonna speed this up here a little bit, since not much is happening. But like you saw here, like I set up another sector in the lair, or by the lair that I just started defending and waiting for them to push me.
Here comes the boy.
In the outside team, the team by the sniper tower was very hesitant on pushing me. So I just looted up the bodies, tried to get some ammo back, tried to get some consumables back. See what they're doing. They were seemingly just a duo. I'm assuming the headsman was originally on their team, they just didn't want to save him. No, unfortunate for them, they probably should have done that, since they did have a nitro. They're fairly passive. I don't wanna like push through those doors at them, because they have like their own sector closed off and it's fairly easy to defend those choke points. And I don't know what their guns are, to be completely honest. Here's somebody cooking the nade, so immediately punish him for doing that. Kill him. See that their teammate is upstairs. I'm just placing a trap on the red shirt in case I do have Necromancer and continue pushing here. I don't have that much ammo left, so I have to be like very mindful. See that he's like holding the balcony. I heard him going there as well. Peek him, get a nice headshot on the Kane player and finish the fight. But what you saw here overall, like how I approached from Seven Sisters into Pelican, claimed the double staircase for myself, fought from there for a little bit, then figured out where everyone was, rotated around to the big sniper tower, made my way into the compound from there, secured the next sector for myself, fought the boss team. Once the boss team was wiped, I concentrated on the outside team, killed that team. Here I'm gonna give you another quick tactical breakdown. We are arriving from the bridge here. Banishment has happened in Sweetbell, but just recently banishment is still at 20%. So what I'm deciding to do here is immediately run down the shoreline. There's a fence line here. Not like, there's a fence line and we have like a wheel here, which breaks a lot of line of sight. Continue my way into the lair, immediately push to the door and basically be in shotgun range and then play off there. It is very risky, but as a shotgun player, sometimes you just have to risk it to, like, you know, win the game. The only angles I really have to worry about here are this window, the ramp, kinda the balcony for a little bit, and the window on top. As long as nobody's peeking that window and nobody's holding that window or the ramp, you should be fine. The bridge guy is usually avoidable. But yeah, basically I'm just being quick and quiet and avoid as much line of sight as possible to get to the lair. If you would like approach from different areas, for example, you would like go this way into the lair, you would suddenly be like at a stalemate here on the bridge. Or, you know, if you like approach from here, you could do the same thing. Honestly, you could like go from this way, go here, or like go that way. But basically just, you know, try to clear as much distance as possible to the lair to get into shotgun range. Okay, the next approach is much riskier, but it does work out for me quite often. Basically, I'm approaching the compound from a covered angle that has like a lot of vegetation or structures in the way with not a lot of angles to stop me from pushing. Like you see here, I'm coming from the railroad tracks, running through the bushes, using that little wheel here to like get into shotgun range immediately. And once I'm here, I'm basically halfway there already, if that makes sense. I peek the window, which is a common angle to hold, get a nice uppercut, headshot there. Doesn't matter, but I am at shotgun range, it's exactly what I want. Now I throw the sticky bomb in there again, just to like make them stressed out. I don't get the kill here, but I immediately start pushing and run through the lair just to heal. Now I rotate around and I do not stop playing aggressive. I don't want them to like calm down, I want things to be as stressful as possible. I just shoot the window just so they hear the glass break. Now I throw like another sticky bomb that I found randomly through the window just to like, you know, create more chaos. Overall a great idea to use consumables that way. And I start pushing again. Trying to figure out where everybody is. Can't see anyone in the entrance, so I make my way inside, contest the stairs, see the perk that's getting hit her, immediately gets the guy on the bottom, re-peeks the perk that finisher, and now I know there's another guy that I've downed before that probably got revived. Find him there as well, and finish the fight. Yes, it looked really fancy, and you probably need a lot of like skill and map knowledge to do that kind of thing. But in general, like I said earlier, if you like arrive at the boss lair very early towards the banishment, it's quite often that boss, like people are still setting up their defense and they're not like really looking for enemies yet. It doesn't work for every compound. Certain compounds are better fit for that kind of approach. Some compounds are like basically impossible to pull that off on. For example, more battery, terrible compound. Something like Speedbell, actually pretty good because you can get fairly close to the lair without getting sniped. Okay, here's another tactical breakdown. Just so you guys know what I'm doing. I am currently here in front of healing shirts. I heard a fight happening in the Lock Bay area. I made my way over here. I heard somebody was up in the sniper tower who was sniping into Lock Bay, so I knew like kinda like where the focus was at. Like there's no way they're gonna check the whole swamp when there's a fight going on in Lock Bay. So I decided to like just run across those little islands here, make my way to the shoreline, go through little ruins and try to push to the lair while the banishment is close to being finished. There's a lot of like cover on the way here, even though it's like, you know, seems like a risky spot, but there's like you know, the tree is actually on the map, but there are like tons of bushes here and there. There's like a big set of trees here. There's like a sniper tower with trees and bushes. So unless somebody's actively looking for you, you have a lot of cover that you can stay hidden until it's basically too late and they have to fight you. The only positions, like I said, that I had to worry about were like the sniper tower in itself. I kept an eye on that. Or if somebody was like playing like the outside wall here and trying to like snipe into Lock Bay from there as well. And again, it is risky, but that position in itself is already like very undesirable because you're like fairly late to the banishment. So sometimes you just have to take the risk and just send it into the lair, because playing with your secondary from like 80 meters away just because it's safer is not really the point of playing shotgun. Here I got another example of the exact same thing. Banishment has happened in Blanchett. I heard a team fighting in Lock Bay, so I'm using that distraction to like get close to the lair. I'm being stealthy here. I heard somebody sniping from the sniper tower up there earlier. So I'm just like trying to like take the safest way into the compound. Like you see here, tons of trees. There's a little outside ruin building. Just tons of stuff in the way that blocks their vision in case they were trying to peek me. The banishment is very close to finishing here, but it's something you should keep in mind in general. The closer the banishment is to finishing, the louder the banishment is. It makes like noise, if that makes sense. You guys have all been in the lair when the banishment is about to finish and you basically can't even hear your teammates talking in Discord usually. Now I'm just slowly walking up to the lair since I see banishment is about to be done. Most people like to like run to the banishment to pick up bounty immediately. So by walking I make no noise. I spot an enemy here. Get kinda lucky that he like didn't look at me, but even if not I would have had a 1v1. Use my consumables here like a flashbang to immediately push the lair. Get another kill. Now I know there was a guy up in the tower. So I'm kinda waiting for him. Hear him drop down from the ladder. And get the last kill on that team. Again, it doesn't really matter that I hit all my shots here, or that kind of stuff, but the general approach is that you should pay attention to how close a banishment is to happening, and when a banishment is at like 80-90%, it's not the worst idea to risk it and get very close to the lair, especially when you have like a semi-automatic shotgun or like a shotgun that can shoot very quick like the rival, or the terminus with levering. And just try to basically cash in on all the confusion and all the noise that is happening. In the next deck I'm gonna show you guys what to do when you arrive at a lair and somebody else is doing the boss. You usually wanna abuse like your compound knowledge to like punish your enemies. You have a shotgun, they're doing the boss, they're probably stressed out, and that is usually an easy way to get like close to them. Here I'm again using consumables, as I saw somebody peek in the balcony earlier and they probably don't know I'm up there. Get a nice dynamite kill on them. And now that I got my initial kill, I'm trying to figure out where everybody else is, by being fairly sneaky, but still moving aggressively. I hear somebody here below me, so I'm just like taking like a tiny crack peek. She has no idea where I am. Kill her as well. And now I'm trying to figure out where the last person is. I hear them inside the lair, but I don't know what gun they have just yet. And I have two of the teammates on the ground already. So I'm just waiting for them to like either push me, or at least tell me what kind of weapons they have. If they have a rifle, I will push them. If they would have had a shotgun or a close range loadout, I would probably play the buddies and wait for them to do something. Because pushing a layer like that with the boss inside can get very hectic, to be honest. I heard that they have a windfield, so I just start pushing into the layer to finish the fight. Just shoot the spider so she moves away. Tag him once, then tag him twice, and kill him. But like you saw here, me having like the map knowledge, that I knew I could go on top of the roof, from where I can get like really close to the enemy without them being able to stop me. It doesn't matter if they hear me or not. I just want to get into the shotgun one-tap range as fast as possible. It doesn't matter, you know. Even if they hear me run on the metal, they don't have an angle to stop me from doing that. If that makes sense. So overall, you know, when you're like banishing in a compound and that kind of stuff, don't just sit in the lair. Try to like run around the compound or like after you wipe the server and just, you know, figure out some cool ways to like move around the compound, some cool vault spots where you can climb on top of roofs, all that, like all those tiny fancy things that will help you a lot in your solo gameplay. Okay, in the last clip of this video, I will show you guys what to do when you arrive at a layer that is not that easy to breach, like for example Lower the Saal. I'm combining my first strategy of like claiming a sector for myself, and I'm basically preparing myself for being pushed by 3 players, even at the same time. Once the enemy team will pick up the bounty, they will know that I'm solo and they will probably play much more aggressive than they would against anyone else on the server, aka against another team. I placed the trap down there by the door. Now I'm rotating a little bit and figuring out if there's like a better spot to defend from. But, you know, boss layers like Lower the Saal are fairly hard to like breach, like I showed you in the other videos, simply due to the fact that they're like choke points already. And there's only 2.5 entrances, I want to say, into the layer. And it's too many angles to check. And it's too easy to defend in general. Right now I'm basically just roaming around the layer a little bit until the banishment is about to be done, and trying to like maybe get like a lucky uppercut pick here. It's usually the best thing you can do, just like try to use your secondary and, you know, maybe you get a kill or two. And even if you don't, you know, you don't want to risk too much right now. You just want to like entertain them and not like play too passive to already get them like in a fighting mood, if that makes sense. You're kind of like marinating them, you know, making them like hungry to kill you. You know, if you would just sit in that building and they would scan you, they would be like, that is kind of weird. Why would he sit in that building? Why is he not doing anything? Are you constantly running around here and basically like baiting them into pushing you? You can definitely get that aggression out of them that you want. Even though it sounds counterintuitive, but since you do have a shotgun, my goal here is to make them push me and come into my shotgun range, and not me trying to like kill them with my uppercut, if that makes sense. Now that they have picked up the bounty, they see and scan that I'm all by myself. I set up the trap down there by the door. I tagged them a couple of times with an uppercut. I think they already have figured out that I have a close range loadout, due to the fact that I'm exclusively shooting at them with my pistol. So I'm just like, keep on fighting them, trying to motivate them to like leave the lair. Always swapping up my angle as much as I can, just so I don't get like pre-fired. Like you saw here, I peeked the window, shot twice from there, went down, peeked the right side of the building, Now I'm just waiting for them to do something basically, while still, you know, taking some shots at them to make them realize that I'm all by myself and, you know, maybe give them some confidence that I'm not that good of a player. And now I hear that one of them is rotating around. He went for the big flank. I still hear two of them in the lair, so I'm immediately taking that 1v1 against that person outside. Now that I've shot at them, I don't know if those people are sitting in voice calls. Quite likely, so immediately don't get too occupied with that one person and try to check what everyone else is doing. I still know that that one person, like the perk the skin, is pushing from the back, so I'm like trying to like see what she's up to. Somewhere around that White House building. Can't really see her at the moment. She was holding that angle. Take another shot at her and I'm basically just baiting them to push me right now. I'm not over committing to the fight yet, but I'm like entertaining the fight in itself, if that makes sense. And like you see here, I'm constantly paying attention to what everyone on the team is doing, not just that one person that I'm fighting. Like I said earlier already, don't get too occupied with one singular fight. Sometimes while you're fighting one person, it makes other people push you because they believe that you're like fully concentrated on like taking out their teammate. Meanwhile, you're just like waiting for something to happen, like I do here. Like I'm not overcommitting, like you see. I'm just taking a few shots at them, just so they know that I'm aware of them. But I'm not gonna like, you know, risk everything to kill them. I'm just waiting for my opportunity to like take one of them out and then snowball off that. If that makes sense. One of them is pushing on the backside. But now that I hear like, you know, that prodigal daughter. So, actually it's a patient, sorry. Leaves the lair. I take her out. Now that I got my first kill, I start rotating. Trying to figure out where everyone else is pushing from. I'm jumping over my own trap here. And know that one person is on that side of the building. And I do hear somebody behind me. So I'm throwing that sticky bomb so they don't push me and start the person that is like inside the building, since there's a lot of natural cover that I can use to just get as close as possible to them, aka into shotgun range. They have realized that I'm about to push them, so they're trying to like get away from me. But luckily I'm able to catch them before they, you know, get into safe distance, get another kill here. I know the Prescient will probably get revived here, which is fine. You know, I can always down them again. Yep, they did go for the revive. But again, we're in like a 1v2 now. One of them is down a bar already, which is always like a good position to be in my opinion. Now I'm using the scan just to figure out where everybody is. See that they're like kinda isolating each other, so I'm like trying to stay aggressive here and get some isolated 1v1s. I got lucky here that she stepped into my trap, but again, we set up for that, so kinda lucky, not really. So once we're in a 1v1, I just start pushing the pressure in. I know she's down a bar. Finish the fight. But it doesn't really matter like that she stepped into a trap here. The most important part is how you saw that I set up my sector again from a position that gave me like a good position to isolate 1v1s from. I didn't overcommit to a singular fight. I tried to like keep track of everyone that is on the enemy team, of everyone around me. And you know, for example, when I was fighting the Daughter of Decay in the back, I heard somebody pushing outside of the lair and I know there's not much cover on that crossroad, so I immediately turned around, got the prescient kill, and from there on out I just snowballed off that. So that would be my piece of advice for like layers that are not that easy to siege. Set up your defense area, then use your secondary to maybe get some entry kills, and even if you don't, just always try to isolate 1v1s and don't overcommit to a fight. And once you got your initial kill, try to snowball off that. And again, you know, sieging Lairs as a shotgun player is not the easiest thing to do. It's not even easy to do that as a trio, so why would it be easy as a solo player? So in my opinion, like I said earlier, just work on upping your speed on when you get to the lair. In my opinion, the easiest way to win as a shotgun player is when you are the first one at the lair, banish the boss with your sticky bomb, and then set up your whole defense. But like I already said, I have a whole shotgun guide on that. I will be linking that here in the video description if you want to check that out, where I talk much more about strategies, loadouts, and all those kind of shenanigans. I hope you guys enjoyed the videos. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.